feel like I wasn't surprised that that's what some people were saying. I'm surprised that it was actually finally kind of caught on video, because it was, I mean, these are the type of things that people only talk about with, well, I guess they're friends, apparently, and like someone actually got those horrible, awful things that they were saying, because it wasn't like he was talking about this poor girl, I don't know who it was, his like, oh, my sister is a lawyer, and then I think at one point he said it was just gay. And it's just some of these things, I feel like I expect them to be gone, but they're still there.
At first, I was almost like, it was like a flashback to high school, because like a lot of the time in high school, a lot of the boys talk like that, and they got away with it. Because like, especially with public schools, like it's just, a lot of things are swept under the rug with stuff like that. And so, I was really reminded of like high school shenanigans.
Does it surprise you that that kind of language is used on our campus?
Let's say they don't use it around me. But, you know, I hope that people quickly learn, and I understand this was 3 years ago, but I hope people learn that you do better in society if you clean up your language. But more importantly, that you do better in society if you treat everyone with decency and respect.
This conversation has happened hundreds of times. I know half of my friends have been assaulted. I've been assaulted. We have this inane understanding or belief that, you know, Augustana is protecting us from this behavior, and that there's, you know, things that are happening for it. And from what I've heard, all the punishments that are happening when people come to Augustana with Title IX declarations or anything like that, all the punishment that I'm hearing is maybe they're gone for a year and then they can come back again. You know, sexual assault isn't something that leaves anyone after a year. It's not something that has a time stamp, it doesn't expire. And so the punishment for it shouldn't either, at least not on our campus.
Okay, let's pretend college is all about sex. That still doesn't mean you have the right to do anything to anyone you ever want. Like, there's still that whole factor of, like, consent that we've been talking about for the past 3 years on this campus that still apparently can't get into people's heads. But, like, it's not all about, like, sex. Like, I'm here for an education. And, like, sure, like, people do have sex in college. Like, we're adults now. We're, like, you know, away from our parents. We're, like, exploring who we are. But that doesn't mean that you are entitled to do things with whoever you want.
The guy is sick, basically, is what I'm thinking. I feel bad for him. He needs help. If thinks people are soft, I think he is soft. I think he's got a fragile mental constitution.
The fact that Augie took action like right away to figure out what was going on and what it was reflects really well on the campus.
But we're working pretty hard to make things more like policy focused, and so like students actually know what the policies are. And then when something like this happens and you're not really sure what actually did happen or what's going on, it kind of throws away everything we had, because we never had a case like this, and we don't know how to explain it to the students, we don't know how to explain it to the administration. And I don't really know, don't think the administration knows how to handle it, or like what consequences to actually put in place.
I don't know. I kind of was disappointed with the way Augustana responded. Like, the video came out in like the middle of the night, which, like, you don't have to send me an email at 3 o'clock in the morning, Augie, but like the next day at 4 p.m. they're like, yeah, we get it, like we saw it, like we know, like, yeah, like we're disappointed. It doesn't follow our like values, but you know, it happened 3 years ago, so I'm like, and like it still happened here on this campus. Like, apparently the people are still here. Like, people on this campus have suffered from sexual assault. Like, that doesn't mean that it's just like all done. Like, it's still I don't know. I don't know what they like necessarily should do. I don't know what kind of punishment would be like necessary, but like I thought the email, when I read it, I was kind of like, okay, you're kind of just like dismissing it. You're like, yeah, it's okay, like we know, but it's fine, we don't believe in that. I'm like, okay, but it still happened, so yeah.
I mean, feelings of outrage and anger and helplessness are normal. It's expected. I feel them too, a lot. But for people who criticize administration without being involved in these conversations, or at least trying to work with them, it's a lot easier to criticize on the sidelines if you're not in the room also expressing those exact same concerns. So if you're comfortable saying that on camera, if you're comfortable saying that your friends, then do something.
I think as students, if we need to bring about any change for this, we need to stop being polite. We can't be polite about this. We need to call out sexual predators to their faces. We need to call out those who support or are friends with sexual predators. We need to cut ties to organizations that give them ground to stand on. We need to call out anyone who is continuing to defend them time and time again, year after year. It is time to stop being polite. It is time to stop speaking in hushed tones exclusively. It is time to make change because we need it.
I felt like the way that they expressed their views showed a lot of insecurity, and it sounded like one of the reasons that they were so worked up about what they were talking about was that they knew that they had done something wrong, and they didn't want to face up to it.
We need to find ways as faculty and as a campus to ensure that we are doing our best to reduce the harm of toxic masculinity, but that just takes a lot of time, and it's hard. You know, we're all unlearning misogyny constantly. Women, men, transgender folks, all the time. We're all unlearning misogyny. That's part of our culture. But I hope that this is an opportunity where we can start to unlearn some of the things and recognize what's so wrong with what's being said and how violent it is.
Talk to everybody about it, sports teams, GDIs, Greek life. Everybody needs to know as much as they possibly can about policies, bystander intervention, everything. Just education, I think, is the biggest thing here. We're not going to move forward if no one knows anything. And I don't think we're going to move forward without conversation from both ends, people who disagree with things and people who agree with things that are happening.
At the end of the day, I go back to, this is a people issue. Challenge administration, challenge SGA. That's smart, that's good, that's what we need to do. But it's a people issue. People have to make the difference. People have to be willing to be uncomfortable, to take a stand, to put their own social reputation on the line for the benefit of defending a person that can't protect their own. So I just wish that people would recognize that it is their fight. It is not administrations or SGA's, it is the people's fight.